Hi, I'm Tom Ramshaw, grinder with North Star SailGP team, and also your podcast host for our new Team Canada podcast. Here today we have Annie Haeger. Here we are in Dubai. How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Hanging out with the cat, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, we're at a park here in Dubai and we've befriended a stray cat. Pretty interesting beginning to the podcast, but I guess he'll just hang out. Yeah, no big deal. Good boy. So how's it going? What'd you get up to in the off season between season 4 and season 5?
A lot of, honestly, decompressing, hanging with the family. Did some fun sailing, so like scows, which are just boats mostly only in North America. Did a lot of that. Did some fun sailing, so some wing foiling, some moths, some wasp. Yeah, just kind of decompress. Also mountain biking, pretty fun.
Nice. So you're pretty safe to say you're pretty active in your free time.
Correct. Yeah. Nice. I can't sit still.
But you were looking forward to getting going with season 5.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's so funny because you have this date in your mind of like when you're gonna start sailing again, like competitively, and then all of a sudden it's like upon you so quickly. But yeah, so stoked to be back.
Nice. So this podcast is really just about getting to know some of the sailors within the team, or eventually all the sailors and even people behind the scenes.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about your sailing background before SailGP and how you got into the sport.
So I got into the sport at age 5. My dad's a big sailor. So he actually, I have 2 brothers. My older brother, he put into sailing too early. So he put him into sailing when he was like 4. Then I got an optimist when I was 5, but I didn't actually start sailing until I was 8 because he pushed my brother too early. So I was like the second. My brother was a guinea pig, and then I started a little bit later. So sailed opties, then transitioned into laser radials, and I sailed those pretty exclusively until I went to university. And then at university, I met Brianna Provancha, who basically convinced me to start sailing a boat with a spinnaker. So I had to learn how to fly a kite. And then I hopped into a 470, went to the games in Rio. Then I decided I quit sailing for a bit because I didn't go great.
Yeah.
And then
fair enough.
Yeah, it happens. And then my husband Luke was trying out for the team. Obviously, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were there.
Good friends with Luke.
Yeah. And I went to Bermuda with him, and I got at the time chatting with Phil Robertson about getting back into sailing. He's like, "You should come out and try it." So here I am.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it went from a bunch of time off after 2016 Olympics straight into SailGP.
Actually, yeah, 100%.
You did some sailing for fun in between, I assume, but.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice. And you enjoy the strategist role?
Yeah, it's cool. It's do you know what, all the other professional sailing, because I did a little bit of professional sailing, but women in those roles, like oftentimes you're just kind of they have like a little bit of weight that they need to correct with. And so you're kind of like rail meat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, there's a weight limit to a lot of boats. And then sometimes there's a small weight they need to fill. So they get a smaller sized person.
Exactly.
Often a woman.
Yeah. And so like that was all the professional sailing I was doing, was like, and I was just rail meat there. And so like had no tactical input. I was just kind of there to be ballast sort of thing. And obviously it's super different with the strategist role in SailGP is you're actively a part of the conversation, and you play a key part in terms of the tactics around the race course, making sure you're getting around the course as fast as possible. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm also a grinder now. Didn't know if you know.
Yeah, I noticed. We yesterday we sailed our 5-person configuration. Has you at the grinder 1 position facing back, sharing the handles with me.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. You got some fast hands, I must say.
Thanks, buddy. I'm working on it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It was a good session.
Good sesh.
How do you like the grinder part of the job?
Do you know what? I like the pain cave a little bit. Like I can hang in the pain cave. Like I don't know. So I don't mind it. I just wish, like, it's one of those things that I don't want to hold the team back. And so whenever I'm there, I'm like, I don't know. So I see, like, I'm never going to be as strong as Dries or Tim or Cooper or you. And so when I get into those spots, I just want to like do really well. But I don't know. It's hard, hey? Like, I don't know.
It is challenging, but I think you do a good job,
Oh,
I must say.
you.
But it's not always just about strength and delivering a ton of power. It's about precision, grinding at the right time, understanding. And I think you have a good grasp of that. And obviously it takes time and you got to work on it. But or anyone, I'm working on it still, even though I've been in that same position on the boat for more than 2 years now. But no, you're doing a good job.
Thanks, buddy.
So safe to say, so you enjoy the grinding just as much as being at the back and and running around the boat, checking to leeward for other boats.
Yeah, no, I would say I definitely like the because when you're facing backwards, I don't have a good idea of what's going on when I'm in that grinder position. Like probably because I just don't do it that often, right? So like I have to focus on exactly like the timing and the finesse of when to trim, and then obviously getting the jib trim down. So I don't have as much say in the big picture strategy of where we're going. So I would say if I were to choose, Jeff.
You like having a say.
I like having a say. Yeah, control
I understand. Especially coming from small boats where you're making all the calls for yourself. Well, you sailed with a partner, 2-person boat. I sailed 1-person boat. But you make all the choices to yourself, and so that's what we're used to.
Totally, yeah.
So having that influence is pretty nice.
Yeah.
I must say, it took me a while to understand that because I was in a very specific role when I joined the team, that you're a role player and it's just about doing your role right, not being the full picture person that you are as a single-handed or double-handed sailor. So it was an interesting learning curve. But
yeah. And especially coming from a single-handed boat that you were in, like I can't even, because you're having it's so much stimuli that you know why you're making a decision, but then it's hard to also like.
Yeah, well, even if I am sailing a boat with a big team and I do have to make decisions, it's totally different because you're making decisions for a bunch of people, not just yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different thing, and but I've enjoyed being on a team. It's one thing I think I missed growing up playing all these high school sports, being on a team. I didn't realize doing single-handed sailing for so long how much I missed being on a team, and yeah, it's been really fun.
It's also nice being on a bigger team. Like I know 2 people, or like I would say just in general, smaller teams you can't really find, not that you get sick of somebody, but like if you get sick of somebody, you can like go and hang out with a different person, and it's a way more dynamic. And I think just even from a culture perspective, like when I came into this team, you guys had such a strong culture already built up, and so it makes it even more enjoyable to like hang with everybody.
Yeah, it's cool. We got a lot of different personalities.
yeah.
Pretty and a pretty international group as well. We have Canadians. We have British now. Some Americans.
Yeah.
You yourself are American, but you're also a Canadian citizen now. Congratulations.
Why, thank you.
How long have you been living in, you're in Vancouver, how long?
I moved there election day, 2016. Insane. Trump.
Yeah. So you were like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, see ya.
Convenient timing.
But it was so funny. So the day I like immigrated, I had crossed through the border, and it was literally the election was going on. And so many people were on the Canadian immigration website that it had shut down. And so they had to process everybody manually. So I was there for 3 hours.
Oh, wow. What a coincidence.
I was like, but anyways, I've been there since 2016.
And judging from all your hobbies, I know Vancouver's got a lot of outdoor stuff. So it seems safe to say that you're loving it.
Yeah, it's awesome. We live in North Vancouver right now. And so like we're literally 10 minutes away from like the mecca of mountain biking, and like so much trail running. There's winging. If you go up to Squamish, it's like outflow. So amazing sailing spot. We like go cruising on the islands. It's like an outdoor person mecca. Hiking, it's the best. Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Well, okay, Mr. Mexico.
What about winter though? It's still okay?
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. During the time of this podcast, it's November, and it's rained every day since it's been November, which is fine, but that means snow, right? So like more activities.
So you go up to the mountains and the rain is actually snow, and you're good to go.
And then you got backcountry skiing, pretty much just skiing actually, but cross country skiing,
Nice.
It's all right.
Yeah, I haven't done those activities for a while. I'm a summer sport guy now.
Yeah.
Even growing up playing hockey, I definitely missed that. But yeah.
Did you do the skate challenge last year in Halifax?
Yeah, we had a little activation with the St. Mary's University hockey team.
Okay.
And Billy was the goalie because he played goalie growing up. And we had someone from each of the SailGP teams shooting on him.
Okay.
And we played a little competition. And it was interesting because a lot of the countries in the league have no hockey background, so you can tell by the way they're holding the stick and shooting. And then there's quite a few that you can tell have the background of playing hockey. And anyway, it's a good, fun little activity. But yeah, that was my first time on ice in not too long, maybe 3-4 years.
Okay.
But
did you score on Billy?
Yeah, I think I scored on Billy a couple times.
Good.
But he's a really good goalie. So
okay.
Yeah, he moves quite well. You can see it on the boat, so
yeah, that's true.
It's not too surprising.
Yeah.
But no, that was quite fun. But yeah, I haven't spent much time in Vancouver, so I would like to visit. I've been there maybe 3 times.
Oh, it's awesome.
And actually, you're speaking of the rain. I've been lucky every time I've been there.
Yeah.
And it's been bright sunshine every time. So
there's honestly nothing. I don't think there's anything better than Vancouver summer. It's like it's insane. And like I always wanted to live somewhere where you can ski and sail in the same day, like no problem.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
It's awesome. It's the best.
But the surf is far away. You got to take the ferry, drive 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's quite a long way.
Yeah, it's true. It's very fair. Like I can't surf to save my life. I'm a terrible swimmer, so I like stay far away.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember hearing that about you, maybe around the time I met you, that you learned to sail before you learned how to swim.
Correct.
So you said at the beginning of this that your dad pushed you into sailing or got you into sailing, but they didn't decide to teach you to swim first. What was the thought there? What's going on in the Haeger family?
Okay, well, like if you are sailing properly, you don't have to swim.
That's a good point.
Yeah, right. So like.
And you're wearing a life jacket.
You're wearing a life jacket.
Yeah, so it makes no sense to swim anyway.
Why do you need to swim?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then like I
hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, you gotta change your thought process. No. So yeah, I didn't know. I'm just a sinker. Like if you literally put me in water, I just like sink to the bottom. Always have, and I still do. I'm a terrible swimmer. But
so surfing's not your sport,
no.
But you can grab the board just in case.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. But like you get dragged under the weight. Yeah, I don't know. The weight's gonna stop.
SailGP is even better because you're not even going to end up in the water. We're tethered on.
This is my sport.
So the other day we had to do safety training where they hold you underwater, practice grabbing your regulator, and do the whole safety process. How's your comfort zone in that situation?
Not comfortable. Actively, very uncomfortable.
So it's good training for you to work on that.
Yeah, for sure. And man, they're not gentle when they do it. Hey, like they're like pretty brutal. Like they are shoving you around and like banging your head at the top of the. They shove you under the water and put you. This one, it was under a dock where there was like ropes and lines and things like that. And so they're like literally just like shoving you all over the place. But
yeah, it was quite an experience. Everyone came out of the water with. We're in the Persian Gulf, so it's super salty and just dripping out of their noses, and Anyway. So the other thing in your personal life, you're a mom, mother of 2.
Mm-hmm.
How's juggling that with SailGP and traveling?
Yeah, it's full on.
How are you enjoying being a mom?
It's awesome. It's the best. My kids are the best. I have 2 kids. I have one that's 4 and one that's 1.5. And actually, when I joined the team, my little guy was 5 months old. And yeah, I don't know how much detail you want to go into this, but like I found it super challenging, A, to leave him, and then B, to like manage continuing to like what I wanted to do as a mom while also being a professional athlete, meaning like mainly I was breastfeeding him and having to like pump like when I was on the water and then off the water. So it was just like logistically and like in the airport and on the airplane. So like logistically it was really tough to juggle that, I would say. And I don't know, there's like, you're about to become a dad too, right? Like there's a lot, I feel like guilt's intrinsically tied to parenthood in some sort of way. You're leaving them. Obviously, that, you know, my husband's an amazing parent. So you're leaving your kids in good hands, but it's still, you know, you think about them all the time. It's like, it's tricky to navigate.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to being a dad, but the part of going away is going to be challenging. I love going away and doing the sport, but I'm sure I'll continue to love it, but it'll get harder to leave.
Yeah, for sure.
It already is tough when you have a partner and lots going on.
Yeah, lots going on. Well, and I think too, it's I don't know. You just realize how much support means to you when you have to leave. Like, just to intrinsically trust someone with like the thing that you find most precious in life. You know, it's like it's really like my parents. It takes a village. Like it literally takes a village to help support this. And then you're always kind of sitting back like, man, you feel selfish. You feel like all these emotions, but I just keep thinking like, will my kids, when they look 20 years ahead of time, like be proud of me for like what I'm doing right now? Yeah, they will. And it's pretty neat to think about it that way. And kids are so resilient. Yeah. I don't know. They're like, my little man, like he's got more airplane miles than my like parents do. Like I usually drop him off with my folks on the way to events. So I fly with him to wherever my parents are, and then I continue and fly to where the event is. And so he's pretty well versed on airplane rides at this point.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think SailGP is pretty cool and it's a fun job. So the balancing two things you enjoy so much is pretty challenging. But no, that's super cool. I always find that impressive when I hear that you've gone an extra flight to get your kids to a loving home of your parents. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole process, I'm just running it through my head of doing it myself. And it's just like, oh boy, here we go. Yeah. There's all these things I haven't even thought through fully, but I'm excited at the adventure that's to come. So in Vancouver, you also have quite a busy work life as well, juggling SailGP, being a mom, and tell us a bit about your business work life.
After COVID, a lot of the industry within Vancouver kind of got shut down, and I kind of took it upon myself to start my own marketing firm. So I started, it was basically focused on sports marketing, and I have been lucky enough to work with some really big brands. I did the World Juniors for Hockey Canada, so I was working with Hockey Canada for ticketing and the 50-50 for World Juniors, strategy work for them. I've been lucky enough to, for the Vancouver Sevens, like the HSBC Rugby Sevens, last year I was the executive director for that tournament. This year I was working with the Grey Cup Festival, so I did the pageantry for them. And ESPNW actually last year, which was like total passion project for me. I was in charge of corporate sponsorship for that. So it is very busy. I would say this season, just honestly, like totally candid, the sense of security that I have from SailGP, I want to put everything that I can into it. And so I'm starting to transition out of that side of my life, just because, you know what Coach Joe put it perfectly, is it's really hard to do 3 things well, but you can do 2 things really well. And for me right now, I want to just completely destroy the SailGP season. Like I'm fully in, and then I want to be a good mom. So like, those are my 2.
That's awesome. I was going to say, how do you have time for all those things? But if you're slowly tapering one down, then I guess that makes sense. But wow, those sounded like a lot of big events. I've heard of all those, so and they're big events, and that's pretty impressive.
Thanks.
Wow, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Do you know what? I will say the ESPNW was also like, it was in tandem with the SailGP like women's pathway. We had a speaker there. It's the SPNW conference obviously is focused around women in sport, and kind of bring it to the forefront. And it was the firm that I'm contracted out for that event, it was the first time that had ever been brought to Canada. And so it was so neat. Like there's the PWHL, which is the Women's Hockey League, the NWSL, which is the Northern Super League that just got announced for the women's sport within Canada and North America. There was the WNBA, the Toronto team had just been announced. We announced it. So it was like a total clash of the two events, kind of, you know, like my professional athlete life and my work life kind of clashing into this one accumulated event, which was so, like, I was so inspired to be a part of. But the issue was that it ended the Tuesday before I was supposed to go to Halifax for SailGP. And so I showed up, I don't know if you knew then, but I was totally dusted because I had been up to like 2 a.m. the 2 nights before, and then it was a 4-up day.
So big celebration before the...
No, not celebration, working.
Oh, just working. Yeah.
But yeah, just working. It was like, oh man, I was so dusted. And then Phil Robertson was like, 4-up. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Did you fly in on the red eye as well?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
Wow. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Well,
anyways.
You seem to keep busy, and I'm pretty impressed.
Thanks, man.
So do you get much time to chill, or
no chill?
No chill. When it's time to chill, you go mountain biking.
Correct.
That's
or
awesome.
Trail running.
Or trail running. Nice.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Thanks, man.
What do you see for this season? We've had a slightly different. Well, last year we didn't have ownership. We were a SailGP run team, and it was a bit, not knowing the future of the team. And now we're under pretty solid ownership, and some new management, and we have a new driver. How are you feeling about this season going forward, and how it's changed?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm really excited for what's ahead, because I feel like we have direction now. Like exactly what you're saying. Last year it felt like everything was like up in the air, and you know, the last race in San Fran, or like when we were doing the speed run after the event, I was like, oh man, is this the last time I'm gonna step foot on this like awesome boat? But now we have direction, we have resource to like build up other Canadians, we have new energy with a new driver. It has been a lot of change, but I think in a really positive way. And I think the approach that like both Giles and the new ownership has come in with is they're coming into an established team. They're bringing new energy to the established team, and they're also bringing a sense of security, I would say, that we were all like really missing last season. So yeah, I'm super excited about.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was a bit like never knowing what the next regatta is going to hold. Yeah. Are we going to be able to do it? And now it feels like for me personally, inspiring. It was the "We Can Inspire." We had that as our slogan before, and losing that would have been really sad.
Yeah.
Not the slogan specifically, but the having the team and showing the kids what's possible in Canada is 100%. Like pretty special. So
yeah,
I look forward to having more direction with that as well. So you've been involved in the Women's Pathway program here at SailGP. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, like I was saying before, a lot of the professional sailing that I had done before was, you know, not necessarily involved in the tactical side. And this league really, like, it has opened up so many doorways for me personally, and I feel very, very, very thankful for it. We are, you know, at first, I think, once again, being very transparent, which I tend to do, but at first it kind of seemed like when the women were first introduced on the boat, it's kind of like ticking a box sort of thing. But now you can see the team starting to integrate women into it a little bit more holistically, I think. And
having a more serious role.
And like using the extra body on board instead of just kind of, you know, steering out of maneuvers or whatever, or just like holding the wheel straight, like having a little bit more say in, or like just utilizing them in any way that they see possible. And you see like Martine this year, like how cool is that? It's so badass. Like it makes me super hopeful for like what could be and what could come. Like you just want the best sailors on the boat, right? Like, and she's an incredible sailor, and like if you have to look at the Rolodex that is Brazil, like she's probably the best person for the job, and it's just like the person for the job. It's not the dude for the job. So I don't know. It makes me really hopeful for what's to come in the future, and you know, having like obviously myself and George on the team, like I don't know, sky's the limit sort of thing. It's really, yeah, it's neat.
All right, so going back a bit, tell me a little bit more about your Olympic campaign and how that was. You were also big into the college sailing scene in the U.S. and so tell me a bit about those sailing experiences for you.
Yeah, so I did college sailing at Boston College, and I had a lot of success there, which was awesome. In total, I think I won 7 national championships, and
Whoa.
yeah, humble brag,
that's
man.
pretty good.
And that was like between co-eds and women, so obviously sailing against mostly dude drivers, and then obviously within women's for single-handed. So I saw a lot of success there, and actually that's where I met the person that I ended up sailing with, and she convinced me to try out a 470, and I had quite literally flown a spinnaker maybe 3 times before hopping in a 470, because I was always in a laser radial, and I went to the Youth Worlds at laser radial. I got second at Youth Worlds in laser radial, but I just couldn't get big enough. Like I always struggled with weight. It was like if it was over 10 knots, I was gonna get hooped. So it's just like I was like always on weight gain. I completely plateaued at 145. It's like as big as I could get, and I really did try hard. But anyways, after that, my body naturally fit into like a 470 skipper, but I had never really flown a kite before and never sailed a double-ended boat other than in college. But Bree kind of helped me get introduced to the boat, figure out how to fly a kite a little bit. Even though I was the driver, flying the kite through maneuvers obviously quite important. But yeah, and then we like kind of dove in head first to 470 sailing after that. I campaigned for 4 years. So my first regatta in a 470 was during the London Quad. I think it was 2011. But then we sailed like 2 events there during the London Quad, and then dove in right away after I graduated from university in 2012. So yeah, then we campaigned for 4 years. We obviously went to the Olympics and didn't turn out as quite as well as we had hoped. And yeah, then I just kind of couldn't handle the music, so I quit sailing. Sailing is stupid.
Yeah, it's always a tough when you put so much into something and then you don't get the result you wanted.
Yeah.
I always found that tough about Olympic campaigning is your whole mind is built around this one event every 4 years.
Yeah.
So depending on how you do and how you feel about your campaign at the end of it, it can be pretty tough.
Yeah.
So I guess that you were dealing with that for a while, and that can be hard.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and we like, I think for us, we had done it, right? Like we had won the test event in Rio, and we always like, and the lead up to the event, like we had medaled at Palma, we had medaled at Europeans, we had not a great Worlds. It was our trial, so we got 6th at Worlds, but like, you know, everything was kind of falling into place, and during the games themselves, every day we wore a bib. Every day we were in the top 3, except for the last day. And so like, and there were so many, you know, little points within the medal race that we could have done different. And like, man, how many times have I replayed that back in my head? But, you know, you are like defined by it a little bit, right? Like, people always say like, oh, you're once an Olympian, always Olympian. Yes, I completely understand, but like you're defined by Olympic medalist is like so different than an Olympian. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found for myself, I did 2 Olympic campaigns, and a big part of it, I was never a medal favorite like yourself, but was going into it, putting in your best effort, and just no matter what the result, kind of framing it. And I was able to do this for my second Olympics, framing it as, am I going to be proud of the whole campaign regardless of the result? And the answer was yes, but it's funny, once you're done, you're like, oh, I could have done this better and that better. And then, you know, I'm still proud of what I did, but it's always hard to when you're older and wiser to look back and be like, oh my God, what was I doing with that?
Yeah, 100%.
And then, but yeah, that's part of the experience. I find that this SailGP is pretty nice because there's a big event every month.
Yes.
And so when you have a disappointing event, there's an easy reset.
Yes.
And Olympic sailing, so challenging because, I mean, there's the World Championships, which are really important and people work really hard towards. But for a lot of people, it's just the Olympics. And 4 years is a long time to reset and try and get it going again. So I guess that was it for you, and you took a nice long break.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And so you feel a lot different about sailing now after taking that break, or?
I think you're right. Like, it's just older and wiser, because I even the way that I handle it afterwards, like I don't know. I think there's so many things that you could do differently. But in terms of the transition to SailGP, I 100% agree. And we were outwardly vocal that, like, for us in our campaign, it was Olympic medals or bust. But within SailGP, it's like event wins mean a lot. And so you have, like, this season we'll have 14 opportunities to have an event win. Obviously, we want to be in the finals. Like, that is the ultimate goal, and we ultimately want to win. But like, the process of every event and continuing to build for every event, like an event win is a huge milestone.
Yeah. I totally agree. So how are you feeling, back to SailGP itself, how are you feeling for this season as far as our shot at what would be a successful season? How do you see that for us?
Last year we were putting the pieces together towards the end of the season. I really, like, if you look at Bermuda, Halifax, New York, San Fran, we had, Bermuda and Halifax at race 5, brutal race. Like, we were completely in the contention, all of those races, and it was like just small little mistakes for both of those events. And then obviously in New York we're in the finals, and then San Fran we hit a mark. But if we hadn't, we would have been in third. So we have like a complete foundation kind of set up going into this year. Obviously there's been a little bit of a shift in our team, but there's been shifts in every other team. So I think that, like, the playing field seems quite level right now, in my opinion. There's a couple teams obviously that have the same crew that they had last season. But yeah, I think for us, what a successful season would look like is to be in the finals. And I fully expect that we'll be there, 100%.
Yeah, so you think that some of the predictions from the talking heads had us in the middle of the pack?
Oh man, that boiled my blood. I seriously was watching that. I was like, are you serious? Man, like, I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think they had us 6 and 7, and I feel pretty strongly that we'll be better than that. But it just gives you a little fire to
100%
maybe prove them wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Use that as fuel.
Yeah, so some of the big teams have shifted some people as well. Mm-hmm. Being the Kiwis and the Aussies are looking a little bit different, and they were kind of the top benchmark teams.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting beaten by the Spanish. So I guess, does it feel like they're easily passable, or not easily, but it feels attainable, no?
No, for sure. It feels like it's not. It seemed like before the league was like totally dominated, and I don't know now with, like, the Spanish winning last season. It seems like it's a much more open playing field. And with all the transfers that have gone on, it does seem like it's pretty level set. And I just, like I said, I think that we have, like, a super strong foundation. Giles obviously was a driver for Great Britain last season. So, I mean, he's stepping into a super well-established team. He's a super well-established driver. And I just feel like, I don't know, yeah, we're looking up from where we were from last season.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, me too.
So this season's pretty exciting. A few new things. What do you think of the new T-foils that are going to be replace the high-speed boards?
Yeah, obviously, I think we're really lucky and we're in a good position with them. Obviously, Billy and CJ have had, like, the most time on them versus any of the other kind of speed teams. And I don't know, I'm excited to go faster. Like I was lucky enough to be on the boat with when we were doing the speed trials in San Fran, and like being over the 100 club's pretty cool. Like, I don't know, I'd like to do that again. I liked going fast. I liked the adrenaline. It was pretty fun. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a little bit more dynamic this year, in the sense that the teams are going to be trying out the T-foils. A lot of people haven't had time on them. The T-foils are, I guess from Billy's perspective, they're a little bit easier to fly. So maybe the fleet will be a little bit more as opposed to the LABs. So the fleet might be a little bit, closer together, which will be interesting with the T-foils, with everything sticking out. But we'll see.
From my understanding, they may be easier to fly, but there's more different ways you can set them up.
Yeah.
With the cant angles and maybe not using max rudder diff every time. So I'm excited at that learning process.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and I think like we said, we've been testing them for so long. So just like sitting down, and for me, like I'm just trying to be a sponge of knowledge. Like when I first started on the team, I'm like coming into like super people that are just so knowledgeable. And so just trying to like absorb and learn as much as I can. And yeah, I think the T-foils is just another process for that.
Yeah. If you could have another position on the boat, what would you want to do?
Drive.
You'd want to be the driver.
Mm-hmm. I would.
Nice.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm not sure. I kind of want to learn all the positions, but
Dude, I feel like
I think the wing trimmer would be a very cool job.
Yeah.
But driving, I mean, you can't beat driving.
You can't beat driving.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like control.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think you as flight control would be quite good. Like, can you imagine 4 up, you're in flight control, you're like, ugh, like muscle.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
I
think you could do flight control too.
Yeah, I could do flight control.
It's a tough job. It's like it's totally different than a normal sailing position. So definitely takes a lot of practice.
It's true. And I think if you're doing it well, nobody notices, but if you mess up, everybody notices.
It's like me trimming the jib.
Yes, yeah.
No one cares if it's trimmed well, but if it's a little bit off, it's right in everyone's vision and everyone will mention it. So yeah, it's kind of that thankless job, both of those positions.
That's true. You're used to it. You were good.
Yeah. No one really talks about the jib on an F50, so it's kind of under the radar.
Under the radar. Yeah.
So what's your predictions? Who do you think is going to be good this year?
I think the Kiwis, obviously coming off the Cup win, just Beat and Blair have had so much time together. Obviously they have a new teammate coming in for flight, which is a huge deal. But I still think they're going to be pretty solid. I think the Aussies will be good. Like obviously we know Chris really well, and Chris is a fantastic sailor, but I think that they still have a lot of time to try to gel.
Do you think the Spanish will be able to back up their win with more similar results?
No, I don't. I don't know why I say that. I just think that they do such a good job of just sailing their own race. Like they just don't get involved with anybody. They kind of have blinders on. They're just like in performance and like speed mode the entire time. And I think that as everybody's level kind of increases, they're going to have to interact with more boats, specifically with the T-foils, right? Like it's going to, my prediction is that it's going to very much like even out the playing field in terms of like who speed wise, I guess. So yeah, I think I've got us 3 in the finals. Aussies, Kiwis, us. Yeah.
That's your prediction?
That's my prediction.
I like it. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
I think it's a safe bet.
I wonder what the Canadian fans think. I bet they would agree.
I think so too. And then us winning.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah. Naturally. Yeah.
Another question I have is there's these new propulsion systems for light wind. What are your thoughts?
Man, I give SailGP so much credit for trying stuff. Like, I would have never thought, sailing's like quite a traditional sport. And so they're trying, right? Like they're trying to see how it's going to go. Like maybe it could be a complete flop, but they're all about getting boats foiling. And it's going to change up the tactics around the race course too, because from my understanding of the jet propulsion is you only have X amount of propulsion at one time. So like tactically, when do you do it? When's the best time to do it? It's got to recharge for, and then you only have it X amount of times during the race. So it'll be dynamic. It'll be a different type of sailing. But yeah, like kudos to SailGP for trying something different, you know?
I'm excited just to see how it tests out.
I can't, who has access to the button? Like, I hope I can press a button. Like, how sick would that be? Just be like, I don't know.
That might be the new favorite position.
The button
propulsion button pusher.
I think so.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be the G2 grinder jib trimmer that gets it.
Yeah,
Probably
maybe.
not. Probably not. Well, thanks for coming out and doing our first, doing our new podcast.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Let's go rock it this weekend.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hope this will probably come out after we're done the regatta. So like, congrats on the win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that's the foreshadowing to come. Anyway, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.